He lost everything, except one thing. Eliab was once known as the best farmer in the whole valley. His fields were lush, his barns full, his hands always busy with the joy of planting and reaping. But then came the drought. One season turned to 2, then 3. The rain stopped, the rivers dried, and the earth cracked under the relentless sun. One by one, Eliab's crops withered, its animals died. Neighbors moved away. By the 4th year, his farm was nothing but dust and silence. On a sweltering afternoon, Eliab sat in his empty barn, staring at a small burlap bag in the corner. Inside were the last seeds from his final harvest. He poured them into his hand, smooth, brown, and few enough to count. He thought of eating them, just to survive a little longer. But a voice inside whispered, "Once they're gone, there's nothing left to plant." He tied the bag shut and hid it beneath a loose floorboard. It was all he had left, except his faith, though even that felt brittle in the heat. One evening, Eliab heard a knock at his door. It was a young traveler, clothes torn from the road, skin burned by the sun. "Water?" traveler asked weakly. Eliab gave him the last of what was in his jar. They sat in silence until the boy noticed the barren land outside. "Why stay here?" he asked. "There's nothing left." Eliab looked toward the horizon. "Because I have something left. Just one thing. I can't leave until I see what it becomes." Days later, Eliab woke before dawn. He took the bag of seeds from under the floorboard and walked into the empty field. The soil was hard, but he dug with aching hands. Every seed he placed in the ground felt like a gamble. Food he could have eaten, hope he could have abandoned. When the last seed was buried, he fell to his knees and prayed, "Lord, I have nothing left but these seeds and your promise that you give the growth. If this is my last planting, let it be for your glory." The days grew hotter. Weeks passed with no rain. Eliab watered the ground with what little water he could carry from a well miles away. Neighbors laughed at him. "Seeds can't grow in a desert," they said. "You're wasting your strength." But Eliab kept tending the dry soil. He remembered Psalm 126-5. "Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy." It happened on a morning like any other. Eliab walked out to the field, head down, weary from the heat. Then he saw it. A small shoot of green pushing through the cracked earth. He dropped to his knees and touched it gently as though it might vanish. Tears filled his eyes. It wasn't just a plant. It was proof. Proof that the desert didn't have the final word. A week later, dark clouds rolled in from the horizon. For the first time in years, the sky broke open and rain poured down on the land. Eliab stood in the field, soaked, laughing like a child. The water seeped into the soil, awakening the other seeds. Day after day, new shoots appeared, until the field was a living green carpet against the gold of the sand. By the end of the season, Eliab's field was overflowing. Grain swayed in the wind, thick and golden. The barn that had been empty for years was now filled to bursting. Eliab didn't keep it for himself. He called the villagers who had left, the travelers passing through, the widows and the hungry. "Take what you need," he said. "This isn't my harvest, it's the Lord's." Months later, the young traveler came back. He stared at the lush field in disbelief. "You stayed," he said, "and it grew." Eliab smiled, because the Lord never left. And because sometimes all he needs to work a miracle is the last seed we're willing to give him. Eliab's story spread through the land. A story not of farming, but of faith. It reminded people that no desert is too dry for God to bring life. That the smallest seed, planted in trust, can become a harvest beyond imagining. Jesus once said in Matthew 17:20, "If you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you." Maybe your life feels like Eliab's land, empty, cracked, lifeless. Maybe you've lost almost everything. But if you still have even one seed, one act of kindness, one prayer, one step of obedience, God can use it. The seed doesn't look like much, neither does faith. But in the hands of the one who sends the rain, it's enough to change everything.